Time flies when we're talking about Corvairs,
I guess.
Bentleys. Welcome to the Autoshift, where we talk about trends and changes in the marketplace. My name is Jim Pickering. I'm here with Chad Allen Tyson and Chad Taylor, and today we're going to talk about Mecum Tulsa. You know, it's interesting. Mecum Tulsa has been trending on the upswing for a number of years now. So out of 561 cars on offer, 442 sold for a 79% sell-through rate, and that represents $13,639,450. Now, if you look at the past number of years here, the last 3 years, 2024, they did 11.7 million with a 72% sell-through rate. 2023, it was 12.5 million, 69% sell-through rate.
Wow.
And back in 2022, it was 16.1 with a 75% sell-through rate. So they have been trending downward and then upward.
Okay.
So we're seeing a growth here in Tulsa from Mecum.
Over the last couple of years, definitely. That's, wow. I remember when Tulsa was a nice little $6 million kick in the pants that they did every year.
Yeah, it's not that anymore.
No. So is this, do you think this is due to sort of a condensing of the schedule? Or maybe not necessarily a condensing of the schedule on Mecum's end, but just sort of everybody else not having a sale? It's
possible, but I also think that Mecum they're extending their reach in ways that some of the other auction houses aren't because of the long-term work that they've put in to build their name and become a brand that people associate with classic and collector cars. I think all of their auctions have been rising in prominence because of that, because people are now associating. Well, I mean, I went to a Cars and Coffee a couple weeks ago in Portland, Oregon, and there was a Viper with Mecum plates on it. Somebody bought it at a Mecum sale and shipped it back to Portland, and they're still driving around on their Mecum plates.
There's been some at the store as well that have had auction plates on them. So like vintage, older Ferraris.
So I think you're going to see this across a lot of the Mecum sales, probably all of the Mecum sales to some extent. But I think that's what we're looking at here in terms of the numbers moving up.
But they also go places that other auction houses don't go or are not at anymore. Like Lake used to be a huge thing. Then Tulsa was kind of their place. Yeah. And they're no more, obviously, from several years ago. And no one else goes to some of these places that Mecum does. And they go to one of these kind of spots monthly, almost.
Mecum is they're always having a sale.
Yeah. They do more than anybody else versus an online kind of a thing. Yeah. I mean, the one big sale a year, that's why they do such huge numbers. Other places have maybe some bigger sales off and on, but they don't do nearly as many. So it just adds up.
Well, it's that volume we talk about with me.
Yeah, they've been putting in the work for a long time, and it's progressive growth, it's incremental growth, and I think we're seeing it pay off for them, and have been for quite a while. But I think, you know, in terms of the specific numbers at sales like Tulsa, which is not, you know, Indy, is not Kissimmee in terms of the numbers of cars that come in and the values that they get for some of these cars.
Right.
But as a volume seller, you know, all the boats are being lifted here, and I think a lot of it is because of those efforts.
To be fair, I removed the boats from this total.
What about the motorcycles?
All the motorcycles are gone as well, which kind of almost bothered me this time for one particular reason. Okay. There was a Honda Valkyrie Rune in this sale. Those are, and I am a two wheels bad guy, that is the prettiest motorcycle ever made. It's prettier than most cars. It's a gorgeous piece of artwork, and it would do 16,000 or something like that. It's one I would consider I mean, I wouldn't ride it at all, but I would have as a piece of art.
I saw they had a couple of Honda three-wheelers. Those things are deadly.
There were a number of three-wheelers in this sale, including one that was a very strange name to me. Yeah, it was the 2021 Vanderhall Carmel. Turbocharged 1.5 4-cylinder with an automatic, and it was a little like reverse trike.
I've seen a couple of those on Bring a Trailer too, and I don't know. I haven't looked into them enough to see what they are.
It's a new thing to me.
Yeah,
I mean, but they're going.
Interesting.
I don't know. If I was going to do that, I think I'd try to go Morgan if I could.
Well, to be fair, the Vanderhall at the Tulsa sale did not sell at $25,000. Well, speaking of selling cars, that's what Mecum did here.
Yes, they did.
I'm I need to get in touch with somebody at the office to figure out what the hell they're doing to get these sell-through percentage rates so high. For 500 plus 561 car lots, 570 plus total lots. Well, more than 600 actually if you count the automobilia.
Right.
But 561 car lots, 79% sell-through rate. That's boutique auction level stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. It's the highest
reserve. I mean,
yeah. It's the highest sell-through rate we've seen since 2022 for Mecum at this sale.
Wow.
And I don't know that it's anything in specific that they're doing. I think it might just be the market right now.
I'm watching the sale go on, and I see the auctioneers. They're talking with the guy who is going to remove his reserve or not. Yeah, they're talking with the seller. And quite often, they're able to just like, come on, let me have it. Reserve is off.
That's where I was going to go with it. I mean, like, props to their team for being able to either set appropriate level of reserve,
right?
Try to keep people back, keep them on earth with their pricing, or convincing them in the moment to do that. I mean, that's how you do it at these reserve sales, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the only option, because most of the time people put a reserve on their car. They're not looking to give it away.
No, they're not.
They're not trying to bail out of it. They're trying to get all the money for it.
So. Yeah, but they also did bring it to auction for a reason. And Mecum does a really good job of bringing both the parties together. I mean, we've seen them for years working the deals, right? Right there on the block. They'll
Dana, Frank.
They'll do what they have to do to make the deal happen. And it's reflected in the numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
Deal makers. So do we want to get into some highlights from this sale, things that caught our eye?
Yeah, I mean, we should probably chat about what it is that we're looking for when we were looking for cars at auctions like this at the Autoshift. And for me, I'm trying to find things when I'm going through the list that stand out in terms of what they are. If it's a car we don't see often at auction, but more than that, it's something that stands out in terms of the money, either high or low, that it is bringing beyond what we're seeing in other places. I'm looking for things that are changing. And so because of that, I'm trying to find stuff that is sticking out like a sore thumb that we can then talk about. Yeah. When I'm building my list, that's what I do.
I think it's all along the same lines for me as well. That's the stuff that stands out, is when you're kind of glancing over prices versus model. You see something that's not right.
Yeah. Yeah, and all three of us have been doing this for a very long time. And so, I've been tracking the market since 2006. And in doing that, when I see something that stands out, it really stands out.
Ooh, an electric carriage.
There were 2 electric carriages. It was an oddball. It was an eclectic group of items down here, without the kind of top end that you'll see at Mecum, Indy, or Kissimmee.
Well, and we've talked about that before, with the top end being newsmakers, but when it comes to money makers, it's the middle of the market every time. Mm-hmm. When you're a volume auction like Mecum, you want to do marginally better than expected on all the cars versus really well on 2 or 3 headline cars. And that's where the numbers are coming from.
Well, that's what makes Mecum so strong, is this is not even one of their halo sales each year. Mm-hmm. And look at the numbers they're still doing. Mm-hmm. Right. That's proof that what they're doing is working, and it's hitting the right people, and they're going to the right places. And because they've tried other places. I mean, they came to Portland a few times.
A number of times. Yeah. It was 3 or 4 years they came to Portland. And I covered you. I think we all covered
been to it a few times.
Yeah. And I don't know. I haven't talked to them about why they haven't been back. But you can kind of assume that it wasn't working for them, and it would be a better option somewhere else where they might make more money.
Yeah.
Or they might have a bigger crowd or better consignments coming in or whatever.
Using their time.
I mean, there's a reason why for years we've wondered, I think all of us have wondered, why Southern California has never been an auction hotspot, other than, Monterey is about as close as you can get to Southern California in the auction world.
Yeah.
Unless you're, the Peterson, or you're some big collector that has a collection there already.
Those are the only sales that seem to do or that are worth a damn having. Is like the collection sale from a name.
Otis Chandler, for example.
Yes, in that area. How many times do we see a company try and set up a shop down there? Russo & Steel.
It doesn't ever work for whatever reason. It's interesting that
those cars go other places.
Yeah.
When they sell.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
We should talk to somebody from Mecum or from any of the auction houses and ask them that question. How do they choose where they go and why?
Yeah.
That would be an interesting conversation to have with them.
Well, when we get somebody on the podcast to talk about it, we will.
Soon enough.
We will wrench their arm.
Tell us why you choose what you choose.
Poke them.
All right, so you want to talk about some cars of note?
I do. Right. I think with this one, I think we start right at the top.
I agree, because I think you and I both picked the same car here.
There were two cars at this sale that were tied for highest seller. The first one was Lot S132, a 1968 Shelby GT500 KR convertible. We know that KR stands for King of the Road.
We'll get into that in a second.
And yeah, this one, wow. So this was a bit of a charity lot as well.
Yes.
Proceeds went to the Tulsa Community Foundation collection. There were 5 different vehicles involved in this group.
Yes. But here's the thing. I'm not sure that the charity factor here had a lot to do with this price.
Not for the price, no. No, I'm just glad the money's going somewhere nice.
It was $170,500. And the average price that we've been seeing for these cars right now has been about $180K. The recent high seller was $412,500, which is quite a lot for a non-KR 4-speed convertible that had AC, which is fairly rare. And that was at Mecum Indy back in May. But let's talk about what a KR is, first of all.
Yeah.
So, in 1969, Chevrolet was building the 396 cubic inch, 375 horse Chevelles and Camaros. And those cars were sort of wiping Ford on the racetrack. And Ford needed to do something about it. And so they determined that they were going to hop up the 428 a little bit using the 427's low-rise heads and a different cam and some other bits and pieces. And they offered that engine mid-year. Shelby heard of this and decided he wanted to apply this as a new model, or at least as an updated model to the GT500, which had the 428 already, right? He had also heard that Chevrolet was planning in '69 on calling their Chevelle the King of the Road. And because Shelby is a small company and Chevrolet is a big company, he could turn on a dime and they couldn't. So he just stole their idea and put it on his car. Now, KRs were people say that they are a mid-year option, but they were only built for the final 3 months of the year in that year. And so this car, it's one of 318 convertibles that were built, KR convertibles. It's got the 335 horse 428. And it was a very clean car. And I think the fact that it was, a first year Shelby convertible, even despite the fact that it's kind of a fat Elvis Shelby.
The later ones got that way.
Well, we can talk about that too. I mean, it's Shelby, the purest Shelby, if you ask Shelby people, the purest Mustang-based Shelby is the 65.
Yeah.
After that, 66, same kind of idea. But as Ford started to exert their influence over the program, the cars kind of got a little bit bigger, a little bit bloated, a little bit slower. I mean, it wasn't so much about performance as it was about style. And these cars are starting to see a little bit of that. It didn't really get bad until the later models, in 69 and 70.
Yeah.
But just to be fair, the KR is a great car. It's a fast car. And the convertible, who wouldn't want a Shelby convertible if you're a Shelby guy?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Ford ever learned a lesson from their first-gen Thunderbird, right? Because they had the 2-seat Thunderbirds back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Then they decided personal luxury was more important than performance. And they added 2 more seats to those cars and made them comfortable. It's the same idea here, right?
Bloated.
Yeah. Here you got Shelby building basically an SCCA powerhouse out of the Mustang and making it, a world-renowned race car. A couple of years later, here's Shelby putting automatics in them. They've got bigger, more comfortable. They're making convertibles out of them. It's a different kind of a thing. And if you're building muscle cars, what else was available in 68? 68, you could go get a Roadrunner with a 440 in it for a heck of a lot less money. And you'd be faster. You wouldn't be as comfortable. But, Shelbys are Shelbys, and they are special cars. And, the KR, I think, was the solution to the problem in a lot of ways for that fat Elvis Thunderbird sort of thing. At least Shelby was attempting to fix it by adding more power and marketing the thing properly.
Yeah. Sort of the following up Boss 429s. Mm-hmm. That'd be about the only thing that pipped them.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, Shelby didn't have anything to do with those.
No, I'm just saying in the kind of Shelby Ford Mustang hierarchy in terms of collectability, but also well, not so much power.
Yeah,
we're kind of on that. But
here's a question for you: if you were going to buy a Mustang from this era, would you buy a 69 or 68 Shelby GT500 KR, or would you wait a year and get a 69 Boss 302? They're different animals.
They are really different
animals.
But
I think the Boss 302 is closer to the kind of animal that Shelby was into when he originally designed that car, or at least built that car into what it was.
Agreed. Yes.
Interesting choice.
No, it's between the two. That's probably the way I'd hedge.
Yeah.
Boss 302.
In terms of pricing on this one, I feel like the charity aspect of it didn't have a lot to do with it.
No, I don't think there was a whole lot added there.
Yeah, it was, I think, right in the right area in terms of the market at $170,500. And I, in that case, I think it was a good buy, and I didn't see any issues with the card over. I thought it looked really nice all the way through.
Nothing.
Great paint, great chrome, nice interior, top looked nice. I mean, it was a nice car.
Just to jump in here and kind of provide some context as to the variation of lots at this sale. The tying lot with that KR, a 2020 Bentley Continental GT Mulliner. Convertible, yeah.
Also convertible.
Bright red, new Bentley, 4-liter V8, 26,000 miles, which is that's a fair amount of miles on the car.
So for the same money, what would you buy? Which one would you buy?
I mean, I'm not really I don't like convertibles in general, really, but I would go with the KR just because I
would have picked that. I would have thought you'd go with the other one.
Nah, I want the W12. I don't care about a V8 anymore. I want 12 cylinders.
The V8 is too small.
More cylinders is better.
Oh boy. There's a long way to go for depreciation for 2020 models still.
Yeah.
1968 models, I like to think that we've really rounded out the depreciation there.
Everybody knows what a Shelby GT500 KR is, or at least they do now. And it's a known, because it's a known quantity, I think the value is fairly well set. And it's not, I don't see, barring some kind of crazy market fluctuation, I don't see these things changing much.
No, barring the economic catastrophe that some people are fearing is coming. But buyers and sellers don't seem to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're just doing business here.
Yeah. And this is another, we've seen, how many auctions have we talked about? This is another one where I don't want to say it was business as usual, but it kind of was business as usual in terms of buying and selling.
People are chugging along. Mm-hmm. Undoubtedly, there's some trepidation. Undoubtedly, there are people holding back some stuff. But the people involved at doing right now are doing as they do.
Yeah.
I mean, if this would have been a $7 million result with a 45% sell-through rate, then we can definitely be talking about how it's all coming down and crashing.
Yeah, but you're worrying at that point.
I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that in online sales as well. We just mentioned the Bring a Trailer. On the 6th of June, sold a $3 million Porsche. One of the specialty ones by Singer.
Reimagined by Singer.
Reimagined, yeah.
Well, yeah, and there's a Williams Advanced Engineering that was also involved with it, which really got some of the commenters in a tizzy. Oh, it was exciting to read those words. Anyway, things seem to be moving along. What I do want to point out, though, is the top bid car at this sale, just to kind of bring the top two sellers almost together.
Okay.
Because the top bid car for $230,000, it did not sell. It was a 2021 Ford Shelby GT500 Code Red wide body. So this is a little racing car.
I wouldn't call it little, not with a wide body.
No, it's pretty badass. Twin turbocharged 5.2 liter V8, one of 30 produced. It's got 2,800 miles, and they want more than $230,000 for this. Thank you.
Interesting. Well, what kind of horsepower does it say? Twin turbo 5.2. It's going to be probably over 1,000.
So rated at 1,000 horsepower, 780 pound-feet of torque on 93 octane. Estimated 1,300 horsepower and 1,000 pound-feet of torque on E85.
You have to ask yourself, when is too much too much? I mean, for me, it's never. But
what are you talking about? All 1,300 of that is useful horsepower. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Yeah, what was it? You ever?
I don't know about that one.
If you're using it to burn off tires in one spot, it's perfectly fine.
Did you guys ever read the story about the Super Snake, the 2 Super Snakes that Shelby built? One of them he tried to sell to Bill Cosby, and the other one went to somebody else. I think the other one he kept. But 427 Cobra with twin Paxton superchargers on it. Yeah, Bill Cosby apparently ordered one of these cars or was talked into it by Shelby. Took it for a drive around the block, brought it back, and said, "I'm not buying that car. It's too damn scary."
I remember reading about that.
The other one, no, later it was the same one. Later on, that car was sold to somebody else who launched it off the PCH into the ocean. Yeah. Bad news.
Wow. Okay.
So there is such a thing as too much horsepower, maybe. But then again, Carroll Shelby kept the other one. It's been for sale a number of times.
I mean, wasn't that the kind of thing that in some ways people talked about, like back with the F40 and things like that, when those turbos kicked in? It was a whole different car and you better hang on.
Yeah.
Or hope you're able to hang on.
Carrera GT, anybody?
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, even more recent, Yeah. I just like that Ford's going the Mopar route and just starting to put extra long names in there.
It's like you're speaking German. Just make the word longer.
Yeah, they should have put twin turbo in the
pack, wide body, twin turbo.
Final edition.
Lazy eye.
Yeah. Launch edition.
Oh boy.
Launch final edition. 2.0 twin turbo.
Mom's basement. That's where you have to live if you're going to buy one of those.
Wide body staggered wheels.
Spend all your money on all the power.
And all the name.
All right. Well, I've got another one here that I think is really a special car.
Yeah.
Both in terms of what it is and also what it brought. The later muscle market, and when I say later, I'm talking about late 70s.
Oh, okay.
Has not ever really been a very popular place to be. Maybe in the late 70s it was, but this is...
You had nowhere else to be. So.
Yeah, so this... Let me just tell you, the car, 79 Pontiac Trans Am 10th Anniversary Coupe, lot S168, sold for $79,200. Now, this is a relatively low mileage car. It's got 48,000 miles on it. It has all the best parts of a Trans Am for this era. It's the 6.6 liter V8. It's a 4-speed car. Silver over silver, so it's got that shiny silver interior. Fancy.
Is it still silver? Or is it just gray now?
No, it's still silver.
Okay.
It's got the WS6 suspension package underneath it. You can tell this car has been babied for a long time. It was probably in climate-controlled storage someplace. It's matching numbers, unmodified. The average price on these cars has been about $40,000. Yeah. So this was a strong number, but it was a strong car too. The thing that's interesting here is that with this car, there's no getting around the fact that it was from an era where performance was waning, and it was the best that they could do, which still wasn't real great. I mean, the 6.6 was choked down quite a lot. Emissions controls, catalytic converters, that kind of stuff is, it was all kind of in its infancy, and it was still pretty restrictive in terms of what it would do.
Yeah.
And yet, here we go. $79,200 for a really good example from this era. I think that's an interesting number. I think it's a special number. It's a special car. And it does go to show that the market on this stuff is still pretty strong. Or at least it can be.
It can be if you have the right one.
It's got to be the right one.
It's definitely the right one.
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking at my little run list from this sale, they had 13 Trans Ams at this sale. And how many? 1, 2, 3, 5 different 79 Trans Ams. Now that was the high seller for sure. In fact, you could add up the other 3 that sold and just get over that. One of them sold for $16,500, another one sold for $33,000, another one sold for $34,100. Another one didn't sell at $27,000, whatever that's worth.
Well, these are kind of in a weird spot because we've just gotten far enough. We've gotten just far enough away from that time frame to where it's not just like looked down upon by constantly. But at the same time, not a lot of this stuff has been restored. It's been modified. It's been touched up, or it's original. Original, obviously, like this one is hugely beneficial, but there's not a lot of other ones out there that are going to be of this level because no one has restored them. There's not a lot that are going to be original. And there's very few cars in this era that are even capable of bringing that kind of number.
That's what I thought was so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this car has the look of it has the right look.
Yeah.
I mean, even now.
You're not going to get 80 grand for a 79 Corvette. Any 79 Corvette.
No.
None of them.
No. There's so many better options with that.
Yeah. But. So, yeah, I thought this was it was a telling car in a lot of ways. And to me, it just highlights that this market is still strong for the right vehicles. And for the buyers that are looking for the right vehicles, that the stuff is still out there and it's still available and you can still find it. It doesn't all have to be about performance either. Yeah, I mean, there's only the faintest whiff of Bandit on this thing. Just the slightest amount, right?
Right.
It's not the right color. It's not the right year. No. I mean, I guess it's the right year for the stupid second movie where they tried to get the elephant.
Yes.
That wasn't a good movie.
No. Back when sequels were totally terrible. Just blatant, obnoxious cash grabs.
Are they good now, though?
It wasn't until the 80s that sequels got better.
I would argue that they have improved. They really have gotten better, especially when they realized how much money was in a trilogy.
Back to the Future Part 2, people think is better than the first one.
Oh, superior.
Yeah.
It's super.
Terminator 2, people think is better than the first one. I disagree with that, but I know people who will fight me to the death over it.
I could see how they get there.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily agree, but I see how they get there.
You gotta have a beginning somewhere. You can't just dive right into a sequel.
True. Although I'm wondering if somebody did, how good it might be, because quite often the world building brick by brick, we got to go through some sort of emotional trauma to get to this point.
Well, Star Wars was what, episode 4 to start with?
I guess that's how it worked out.
I wouldn't call that a sequel, but you know.
Well, if you want to do weird out of order things, Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Never seen it.
Oh my god!
I don't think I've ever seen it. I don't watch movies.
Dirty ape.
Yeah.
That's one you're gonna have to see. We should make him watch it before we get together.
It's kind of creepy. It's like they're kind of like clowns to me. I just don't like watching it.
You don't like monkeys because you think they're clowns?
Suits? Yeah, no, especially those old ones. No. The new one's kind of creepy though too. It's so AI CGI. It's a little too realistic.
You like your apes to be more real.
Well, no, it's just too real.
Too real.
I don't know.
He needs some weird. No, there's a weird balance point between clown and too real.
There's okay, so
I don't know what it is.
We have to find the tipping point of monkey suit that will work for you, Chad.
What's easier if I just skip all of it?
If we want to talk about some things that are still relatively inexpensive and not necessarily performance oriented.
Right.
I mean, let's talk about some classic and more or less original SUVs and trucks.
Yes. That's a good idea.
You want to hop on Bring a Trailer, and you'll find some top level late year Grand Wagoneers going for $50,000. I've seen them as high as $70,000 and $80,000 selling, and these things are completely restored, done up so well. I'm a big fan of the Jeep Grand Wagoneers because I grew up with one. Mm-hmm. My mom had one, and we just called it the Tank. I mean, it had the 360 V8, it had the automatic. It was 4-wheel drive, and it would take a Wyoming winter like nothing.
Yep.
It didn't care. I mean, the only thing it was really not great at was heating. You know, the heater system. It took a little bit to fill just that giant volume of a cabin. So if you weren't like right up against the dash, it took a little bit for it to get warm. But that was really the big complaint we had about it.
Well, also you're living in the tundra. I mean, it's cold out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have plenty of memories of negative 20 degrees.
You're asking a lot of your Wagoneer at negative 20 degrees. You're asking a lot of anything.
Anything at that, yeah. Well, and that's one reason that some people didn't have diesels.
Yeah.
There's one reason some people had the 460 in their 97 Ford versus the 7.3.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Didn't take 15 minutes to start.
You'd have to light a fire underneath the oil pan to get it going.
Cover the whole car, put a heater underneath it.
If you keep the block heater plugged in, it's usually okay. I mean, down to 20s, low 20s, and then past that point, it really gets obnoxious.
Anyway,
how do I know?
You're right.
So Mecum had lot F290. So late in the day on Friday, it was a 1986 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, green. Nothing fancy. This thing sold for $14,300.
That's a good buy on.
That is a really good buy on one of these, especially for one that is not rusting apart.
Right.
Not completely dinged up. Not having a pillar just completely collapsed in due to the rusting issues. It was just an incredibly clean, and it's not the later one. It's not the 1989 to 91 Grand Wagoneer that is the one that everybody is after. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got the nicest interior we're going to get on these things.
Right.
This isn't that level.
Right.
But this is just one of the cleanest, nicest things I've seen come through in an auction that wasn't twist your arm, break a couple fingers to buy the thing.
Well, and that's one of the things you see happen often at an auction like Tulsa. It's because it is more focused in on the middle of the market. You find stuff like this that can pop up, and like you said, it's a great buy.
Really good buy. It's so clean. I look for these cars. I love these vehicles so much. And quite often they are treated like an SUV was.
Yeah.
Just it's amazing how clean the carpets are on this. Well, but I mean, how many times do you just throw your muddy boots in? Just what does it matter?
It's a minivan.
Yeah,
it's got the minivan
it was a minivan.
Yep.
And it's not quite the Forest Service green. It's a little more muted than that, but
more olive.
I freaking love the color. I just love that color.
Could you get one of these with wood paneling on them at this area? Or is that later?
That would have been the just later ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember exactly which years had the wood paneling. But I know 87 later definitely did. I'm trying to remember 86 and prior to that. Just can't.
All right, speaking of
Actually,
green,
no, the Cherokee sucks.
Green Mopars.
Oh, yes.
1970 Dodge Charger SE, lot S190, $88,000. This car only had listed, or only showed 30,000 miles. And overall, this is basically what you'd see, call it day two if you want, but this is your average driver level muscle car, if you want to call it that. I mean, it's a 440, so I guess it is.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot that's special about this other than the fact that it's a Charger, a second-gen Charger. If this car was not a Charger, in this condition, green over green, automatic, not something that special, it wouldn't have been near this money. But what we're looking at here,
half or a quarter maybe. Wow.
I mean, it's to me, it's a time machine in a lot of ways, because it is an example of how these cars would have been when they were just out driving around. A lot of stuff was green, a lot of stuff was brown. Not everything was, bright colors with stripes and things like that.
Oh yeah.
It's a total reflection of the Charger market, though, that this thing brought $88,000. It continues to be a stronger section of the market than the whole rest of the American muscle market due to star power, if you want to call it that, and a survival rate that wasn't real great. So the average price for these cars has been $74,000, which also seems like a lot of money to me. But again, I mean, you can thank the Dukes of Hazzard, you can thank Fast and the Furious. I mean, any number of places that these things have been featured in cinema, and the fact that they just have that Coke bottle look. It's a pretty iconic, long, low, cool looking shape. It was a strong price for the colors and the automatic transmission, but it should be expected to be that way.
Mopars have been strong for so long now, and it's pretty much, I'm trying to think of anything in their range, any model along these lines that hasn't brought strong money. I mean, you can focus in a little more on like the Ford or Chevy side on the range of the cars that specifically are going to bring more money. Dodge, Mopar stuff, it's a little wider, I feel like, personally, just on kind of glancing and seeing auctions for a number of years. So
I think
it's not surprising.
A big section of it is the fact that it has a different place in pop culture than your other muscle cars do. It still hits the buttons as the other ones do, but it has something else. And that is the fact that it has been used so much in cinema that there is a wider range of people that are after these cars because they just understand them. They know them, they recognize them, they see them, they know what it is.
I want one.
Exactly. And I'm going to buy it, and I don't care what it's going to cost me. I don't care if it's green over green, if it's a nice car.
Yeah, that was...
and this is a nice car. It is.
Mm-hmm.
And it struck me as I won't say too expensive because it wasn't. It was right in line with what we expect it should, or what I expect it should sell for. And here we are, $88,000 for a green over green Dodge, 1970 Dodge Charger SE.
I mean, I guess I'm just looking up at some of the more expensive cars above that, and there's a few Mopars in here for sure.
Right, but how many of them are green over green with an automatic?
They're not, but they're also more money.
Yeah.
With that, so that's exactly it. I mean, yeah, there was it that one? Oh no, it was blue, the Roadrunner convertible. That was, it was blue, but a whole lot more expensive at $162,250.
Right.
And there's a number of them like that. A couple of AAR Cudas, things like that. A Challenger TA, $132,000 for both of those.
Those ones all have the flash, though.
Right? They do have the flash.
The strobe stripes up the sides, and the blacked out hood and all that kind of stuff.
But if you want that flash, that's a price closer to the price you're going to be paying.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you can get a Mopar from this era for less money.
Yeah.
If you're willing to buy, a Roadrunner or something else that's not a Charger. It's just something about the Chargers have really resonated with people. And I don't think that's ever going to end, honestly. Pop culture has too much of a stranglehold on these cars.
Yeah, then I mean, what has established it is going to have to fade.
Yeah,
so,
but
I mean, we're talking like people are going to have to completely forget about Dukes of Hazzard, when we're going to have to completely forget about Fast and the Furious.
Different people. I mean, the Dukes of Hazzard
those
people,
are separate groups as well.
The Fast and the Furious people. I mean, how many young kids were into that stuff? And
I was 15 when that movie came out.
I think if you were to drive a Charger just like this one to a middle school parking lot, you'd have a swarm of kids all around it because of what it is, because it's Dom's car, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's green. I think that is a big factor in how these things have been valued as of late and are going to continue to be. And I mean, I don't know if you can rate pop culture by looking back even further and finding something that is no longer relevant that for a long time was. But I mean, look at American Graffiti, right? That's fairly, when did that come out?
73? 3 is the date in my head.
Yeah. So still relevant. People are still spending money on those cars.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you go back even further, Bullet if you want. Chargers and Bullet.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So is the 68 Fastback.
Somebody just put the chase scene up on YouTube.
The
clip. It's
brilliant.
Wonderful.
It's the only reason to watch that movie is that chase scene.
Yes.
And to count the hubcaps flying off. Because it's way more than 4.
When this car rolled past the block and got that number, I was just sort of staring at the screen going, huh.
Yeah. We all missed our chance.
Huh. All right.
I've wanted a Mopar for a long time. If I've got a muscle car, I love Mopars.
Mm-hmm.
They've been so expensive for so long, and you really have to go down market to get an affordable one.
Yeah.
And that means not a 440, referenced by this car that just brought a little bit more. You can get all the flash still. Plymouth AAR Cuda 70, red with the stripes, got the black hood on it.
The 340s, and that was an automatic too, right?
Yeah, this one's an automatic. Brought 5,000 more.
Yeah.
So not a lot more. You get all the flash, but you don't get the same performance either. Not that the 340 was bad, but smaller.
But it's a different market for different people. I think that the fact that this thing has the Charger body is the key.
And some of that even goes with Roadrunners and stuff though too. I love a Roadrunner, but as we saw with that convertible one, I mean, you get the right engine in a Roadrunner, it's going to bring the same money too.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess you could say that with the Galaxy or whatever, but I feel like Mopar is stronger through the range of cars than others.
Yeah. Well, they're flashier, they had better marketing, and there were fewer of them out there.
Yeah.
So
that's the Roadrunner, that horn.
Yeah.
That still rings true today.
Yeah.
Mini.
Yep.
Anyway, so interesting car, good price.
We like talking about pickups.
Yes, we do.
For all the right reasons. They are the modern hot rod.
Yes, they are.
They are grandpa's vehicle. They are a daily driver. They're everything. A pickup truck is everything.
They're useful.
That you really want it to be. We can talk about how, the older ones with their gas tanks right behind the bench seats, so watch out. That changed. I mean, manufacturers started adding more doors so you could fit more people in your pickup truck. So then it really became an everyday, everything vehicle. And one of the reasons we love them, you can do anything. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You can do it with a pickup truck. Mm-hmm. And they had so many here. They had so many. They had 100 plus pickup trucks at this sale. I didn't do quite the right body style splitting out to add it all up, but I got tired of counting after 100. and
point made.
And a few of them are going to they were just something you don't see, and I think that's one of the nice things you're going to find at a Tulsa sale. Mm-hmm. Middle of the country, not a whole lot of other big sales going on around it. I mean, we are figuring out with this year's NBA Finals between the Indianapolis team and the Oklahoma City team that there's actually driving distance between the two. It's 11 or 12 hours depending on, Pacers over to the Thunder. Anyway, there was a 97 Ford F-350 pickup here, and that is not a year make model that you see at sales, typically.
Not collector car auctions.
Not collector car auctions. I mean, you can find plenty of these at your local Copart auction or your other junkyard sale. Plenty of them. But I think as we're moving forward in time, we're seeing the new become the old. Mm-hmm. And lot S184 was a 97 Ford F-350 XLT pickup with that 460, not the 7.3 liter diesel, automatic. And this one had 2,997 miles.
Where has it been?
It has been in it's coming out of the Schroeder family collection.
Okay, yeah.
This thing it's pretty much original.
It's been a tow vehicle and they didn't tow very often.
Yeah.
Bought it for an RV or for a car trailer.
And did next to nothing with it.
Does it have a fifth wheel already mounted in it?
I did not see that earlier. Yes.
It has to.
Yes, yes we do.
Because it's a two-wheel drive dually, so
yes,
that's exactly what they were doing.
My bad. It was the last photo.
They didn't highlight that?
The 460 is a choice. But again, going back to what I was mentioning earlier, wintertime, superior engine. And I don't know specifically Oklahoma winters. I know Wyoming winters. Those are a little rougher. But I do know high plains winters. I mean, Cheyenne is a high plains desert environment. And from what I've been through briefly in Tulsa, very similar. And this is just amazing. I want to know what the next owner is going to do with this thing.
Yeah.
Because right now, because we are a couple years away from this being 30 years old, which by every metric is going to make it, collector car status.
Well, and the fact that it was here kind of brings it to that point already. What I want to know is, at what point does this become really just an artifact or a roadmap for how they truly were? How do you put miles on this thing?
I think the way maybe you justify using it is for it to be your classic car hauler.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
I think, you make sure you get the nice trailer that goes with it, and you throw on the Twister Special, and the 210 sedan.
Right.
And you go to town.
What was the number on this one?
So I'm sorry. This thing sold for $45,100.
Yikes!
I suppose I should have led with that. I don't believe were that expensive new.
No. Well, I mean, try and find something similar in the new car market right now that will do the same work that will do, and you're in twice the money.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're going to be kissing $100,000 to get a truck that's this competent.
So you have to ask yourself: was the buyer buying because they needed something that would do that work, and this truck is basically a new truck that will do that work, or were they buying it because it's, oh my God, this thing's untouched, I want to preserve it? And I mean, it's 50-50, right?
Yeah, I mean those are primarily the directions you're going to take this.
Yeah, interesting.
I have to say, it's probably the former. I mean, in my head, I don't know how you can justify saving it yet. I don't know.
It's not, I mean, it's an example of something that wasn't saved ever by anybody. These things were designed to go do work. And this one, for whatever reason, escaped that fate. The thing is, how many people are going to restore these things in the future and will need a roadmap for the way that they actually were? It's not a Corvette, right? It's not. We're not looking at Bloomington Gold here. But that having been said, this is a rare opportunity. When are you going to find another one of these that's got so few miles on it outside of a Ford museum someplace?
But on top of that, bringing the fact that this is truck people, especially on a modern truck like this, there's their own, its own culture.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has the Power Stroke versus Cummins, the Ford, Chevy, GM, all of that stuff plays its own role in the truck market specifically. And this truck in the hierarchy of kind of what preceded it or what came after it as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that there's a spot for it in someone's head to be the user.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I would do with it. I'd probably drive it.
My parents had a 96 F350 like this. The thing was so much more solid than the truck that came after it in terms of suspension. I mean, that was like driving driving a dump truck.
Yeah.
That kind of suspension versus getting into the one that came after, which they still have one of those, a 6-liter, unfortunately. Way softer. You can put a trailer on it, it squats way more.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. I mean, this is like you're buying a different quality with this too. And it's way simpler.
When trucks were trucks.
Exactly.
Before they got to be more like cars.
Yeah.
This is kind of right on the edge of
one of the last ones.
Comfort taking over.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So where does exactly which thought process, which lane were they taking in buying this? We'll never know.
We may know.
We may know.
We may know if this thing pops back up.
Yeah. If they try to flip it.
But there's a good chance we won't find out.
Yeah.
Well, that's a mainstream truck. I got a weird one for you.
Okay.
My favorite.
1960 Willis FC170 pickup.
Yeah.
Lot S23 sold for $35,200.
Yeah, this thing.
These things are so funky. Now, I had a friend, Paul Duchesne, who had one of these briefly, and he said it was terrifying in the rain because all the weight is in the front, all of it. So you'd step on the gas and the thing would just spin the tires. The back end was all over the place. But they're so weird. You know, they're four-wheel drive like a Jeep, but they're a forward control like an Econoline pickup. And I don't know if I should think of it like a Jeep or a truck or what. But I feel like it's so unique that it will always turn heads, no matter where you take it and what you do with it. The high sale on one of these is $165,000.
Wow.
But before you go there, it was a Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale custom truck. Somebody had done the whole, it was like lime green. They'd done everything to it.
Okay.
It's a Cummins in it now.
But this thing, I mean, the average prices on these things, 32 grand-ish, right?
Okay.
So this thing was smack on the market for a strange truck that's going to be scary in the rain, but it's always going to stand out no matter where you take it. And you'll be able to go anywhere, really, other than a rainy road.
It's really nice, though.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
it's really nice.
I want to say that this thing had been restored to look, it was refurbished under prior ownership in 2015. Yeah. So it's been repainted, has a new interior. But, I mean, these things are like tractors that have been, you know.
That was my thought. Almost like the American Unimog.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. You're like Unimog. It's getting more Unimog.
It's like an American Unimog, yeah.
Yep, that's exactly where my head went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's very cool, very weird, and just the kind of thing to take to any car show if you want to stand out. And in terms of value, because it's nice and because it is different, it's a safe place for money.
Because even at $35,000, that's for a collector car of any kind. Mm-hmm. That's not overly expensive.
Well, this is going to stand out more than just about any other $35,000 car you're going to find. Newer collector.
Yeah, I mean,
this thing's neat.
Be ready to talk to everyone.
Everyone.
You take this thing to Home Depot, you won't ever get out of there. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be, and people are going to wave at you everywhere you go. There's a fundamental difference between owning something like a Corvette and owning something like this in terms of the way people treat you out on the road. And I can speak to this because I've driven them back to back. One of the companies I used to work for had a split window, 63 split window. And at the time I had a 72 K10 that I restored orange and white.
Yeah.
And you drive them back to back, and everybody loved both cars, but the truck, people would come and talk to you because they assumed you were going to be a friendly person and that you were just going to You were out to do something that day. You're going to go to Home Depot or whatever. And it really was. It was a different way of being treated by the public. And you have to be ready for that if you're going to buy an old truck, because everybody's going to want to talk to you. Everybody.
Just say that this forward control has a 108-inch long bed. That's the perfect vehicle to take to Home Depot. You need lumber or something.
What's does it have the width on it? Because
I mean, if it was getting some 2x4s.
Well, but I'm thinking if it's bigger than 48 inches, I mean, you can carry drywall.
Yeah,
it's got to be at least 48 inches across.
Right? I
pretty close. Oh, maybe not between the fenders. Anyway, 108-inch long bed. I was looking at the side. I'm like, why does that bed look really long from the side view?
It is really long.
Yeah. Damn.
You got one, or you want to go?
Go for it.
All right. So this is a different one than we had originally talked about, but here's an example of something that we thought was going to happen, but has not yet happened.
Okay.
1957 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible, lot S67.1, sold for $99,000.
Mm-hmm.
This is an 11,000-mile car. It's got a 283 automatic. It's red over silver. It's red over red and silver. So it's got that shiny red and silver interior, which is very cool. It's got side skirts, but no Continental kit on it. But it's not totally stock. What I think is interesting here, it's got an Edelbrock carburetor. It's got a serpentine belt system on it. Vintage air. Somebody put vintage air on it. So this is the icon of its era, but it's been lightly updated to be used. I think this is indicative of what we're going to see in the future.
Definitely.
There are an awful lot of cars from this era that drive like old cars. And it makes it harder for younger people who don't have the nostalgia to want to put up with them. Yeah. Finding one that has the original look, the original feel, but has been modified enough to where it's not going to punish you for using it is going to be the future, I think, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
At least when it comes to people using cars and then finding ways to value them or finding value in them because they've been using them. What's interesting here is that average pricing on these cars, specifically 57s, has been right around 70 grand, and the trend line has been flat from 2021 until now.
Okay.
And I find that fascinating because for years, the three of us have talked about how we have expected the 50s market to decline.
I mean, it is just a matter of demographic shift, right?
It should be. It should be. But, and this is, I think, the key point here, people are stopping. They're going to stop buying based on nostalgia, and they're going to start buying based on style and performance. And these cars hold their own when it comes to style and performance, despite the fact that the guys that designed them hated them. To back up a little bit, we used to work with a guy who was on the design team for the 57s when they came out. And one of the things that he said was that it was the 58s were supposed to be launched in 57, and they weren't ready yet. They had to, at the last minute, update the 56 for one model year, and they just threw a bunch of crap at it. And in doing so, made something that the designers weren't super fond of. And yet, that's the one that everybody thinks is the icon.
One of the most iconic looks in automotive history.
By far.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I think this is a good buy for its usability. It also explains that what I think is about to happen in the market and what's already happening in the market, where you have tastefully updated cars that are more usable than they would have been had you not updated them, but they still look stock-ish.
Well, and one thing that's going to go and help on that front is maybe it's not the original, but a 283 V8 as opposed to like LS Power,
right?
That sort of upgrade, because you can still have the right kind of rumble.
There's a fine line between complete modification and resto-modding and that kind of stuff, and carefully updating something to make it more usable. And I think walking that line is going to be the interesting part here. That's where we're going to see. I think it'll get better defined in terms of what things bring, and it'll be clearer.
This feels like the kind of one of the first sections of the market that is doing what we talked about, or I guess seen, with one generation aging out, but the other one coming in finally. These are the price, like you said, the prices have stayed flat. I think we're finally seeing income for this next generation, who's now 40s or early 50s, is now getting up to to the level where they're able to meet that flat value line that's there now.
Mm-hmm.
And then this car, you can pay more for it if you're looking for that usability. We don't have the nostalgia. We didn't grow up with them. We're not looking for one that's 100% correct down to how it rolled off the assembly line. Mm-hmm. Like you said, that you hit it like out of the park with that. We're looking for usability. We're looking for some comfort. We want to use it.
Yeah. A lot of these cars, too, if you see perfectly stock, restored 100-point cars going to auction, they're still bringing good money, too. I mean, they're over $100,000 all day, every day. So this market in and of itself is just trucking along.
Yeah.
But I think this one reflected more of what I'm expecting to be kind of the standard as we move forward.
Yeah, I see muscle cars doing this kind of thing all day long.
And the thing is, it takes cars like this to keep the values on the stock ones high up, right? Because you can't, if you're not going to drive your old car to a car show because it's punishing you, that means the kid that is at that car show is not going to see it, right? Yeah. And you have to have that kind of connection. And if you're not driving the cars because they're a pain to use, you're missing a connection that is going to help inflate value over time in the future. I think this is an important movement, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch it as we move forward. So yeah, it was a good buy for its usability and its condition. Some might call it strong money, and you can't blame them, but I think they're wrong.
Okay, well, I thought it was strong money.
I think you're wrong.
No, I had kind of pinpointed that one too of cars to talk about, mostly because of how much stronger it went for than the other Bel Airs at this sale.
Yeah.
And we went through why.
Mm-hmm.
I was just double checking on because there were 7 Tri-5 Bel Airs at this sale.
Mm-hmm.
And that one sold for the most. What was peculiar was the engine for each of them. Because there were 2 of them with kind of original style engines. The rest of them were 383s or a 5.7 or a 6-liter or a 350. But this one was a 283, and the other one, lot S81, was also a 283 fuel injected.
Right, hard top.
Hard top. So, and it did not sell at $57,000.
Right.
So, it's just really interesting to kind of compare power plants to what sold, to what didn't. I think the $57,000 on that 57 fuel injected, way too cheap.
Oh yeah, that was not the right money.
Way too cheap.
We can agree on that.
You cannot fault that seller for holding on to that number.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't fault the convertible seller for, please go away, $99,000.
It was the right money, I think.
So talking about the engine part of it, is that where we're at with what you were saying? Like an upgrade versus modification kind of a thing. Is that the level?
It depends on the car. I mean, if you've got a C10, chances are it's going to do better if it's got an LS in it when you go to sell it. But a 57 convertible that otherwise looks stock, to me, I think that's a harder one. That's a harder decision to make.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that regardless of what engine is underneath it, if it still looks stock?
Well, you mean if it's a 283 or a 350 or a 383 or whatever, as long as it looks like it.
Yeah.
That's one of the beauties of the small block Chevrolet, or the LS motor for that matter. Small block Chevrolet could be a 406 hiding under there. I mean, it could be a 454 if you get into some of these crazy, crazy rotating assemblies that are way bigger than stock but can still fit inside an original block. I think as long as it looks and sounds more or less correct, it's going to be kind of irrelevant. But at the same time, most people aren't going to take a stock-looking, stock wheel, stock tire, stock hubcap kind of car and want to put 600 horsepower in it. If they do, great. But to me, I'm not sure that's going to be the standard. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It could be, But the point is you can do it. And, it's not a waste of money, I don't suppose. It's a hell of a lot of fun. There was a $2,000 Bentley.
Rolls.
Well, that's right. It was a Rolls-Royce.
1989.
Silver Spur.
Rolls-Royce Silver Spur sedan. Oh man.
Photo in the shadow. Love it. Oh, with the tractor.
With the tractor and that's another Rolls back there.
Oh man, what a collection.
We have a row of Rolls
and a Kubota
next to the Kubota.
The most expensive thing there.
So
other than that.
So well, let's talk about maybe both of them.
Yeah. Okay.
So lot F16, a 1989 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur sedan.
Man.
The 6 3/4 liter,
Ooh.
rated at adequate horsepower. This thing supposedly has 91,227 miles on the odometer.
Where would they drive that thing?
I don't know, but they drove the hell out of this thing. And the value shows this thing with the juice went away for $2,750.
Oh man, that was worth it just for the just to buy it and take it home.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, this thing is dusty.
Yeah.
It's not incomplete. I saw it roll. I believe it was driving onto the block, and then they pushed it off like they normally do. But holy cow!
I mean, the couple of interior pictures on here, it doesn't look bad.
It's no. The price would tell you that this thing is much worse than as it presents.
Something like this would be great fun to buy and then try to drive regularly.
Yes.
And just document all the things. What people say, what breaks, how many times it has to be towed. And then when you're done, you make a gasser out of it.
Yes.
Which we've talked about for years.
Oh,
we still want to do that.
Straight axle under the front, ladder bars under the back, ditch the hood, right high society down the fender.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I'd like to do it with one of the older ones, though. A little bit older than this.
Yeah, for $2,000, how do you...
Yeah, I know. You can't be that choosy with it. But
so, they did have a car here that maybe you would be interested in doing that to, Chad.
Okay.
Because lot F223 was the one old Bentley that they had. So this was a 1950 Bentley Mark 6 saloon. So big old sedan, inline six, super fancy looking, but you know, how fast are you going? This thing went away for $14,300. Now, I thought that was a damn good deal until, you know, you think about the rolls it sold. But it was a damn good deal, considering what the hell else was here.
Yeah.
This was so different than the rest of their offerings, and then it got away for the same price as the Grand Wagoneer we were just talking about. It made me happy.
I mean, this is a whole different animal, than, at least in looks, than that $2,200 Bentley. I mean, this is like...
The rolls? Yeah.
Yeah, that...
Oh, completely.
Rolls.
Yes.
It might be more reliable. Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot less electronics, which is something I would definitely like on my British car. As someone who did own an 89 British car, a Jaguar XJS.
How much smoke escaped from that one?
From mine?
Yeah.
No, nothing.
No smoke escaped from the wire harness?
No, I don't think so. That happened in my Mercedes later,
weird.
So I don't know.
But just throwing out how kind of weird this was amongst the sale, there were 12 Bentleys here.
Yeah.
And this was the only one pre this century.
Interesting.
Like the earliest other one they had was a 2004 Continental GT that sold for $27,500. So almost double the price of our Mark 6 right here.
Wow.
So I don't know how if you were to look at those cars individually and just try and figure out the market from that, I don't know how you would justify that one being so much more than, or the one we're looking at being so much less than all of the others. Because remember, one of our high sellers was a Bentley 2020.
Yeah.
Molnar convertible at $170,500. This thing was under a tenth of that, and way cooler looking.
Oh yeah,
this thing looks better than all of the other Bentleys.
From a coolness perspective, absolutely more cool, way cooler looking, way more of an impact. But I mean, those old Continental GTs that 2004 and up that they're still making, they're like the cheap luxury car you get. I mean, there's so many of them. They keep making them. There's a ton of them out there, and it's a lot of car for the money if you can afford to keep it going.
Right.
That's the big caveat. But as far as being cool, I mean, that's vintage Bentley right there. That big silver grille.
So I mean, proper vintage Bentley, because it is right-hand drive.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was probably the biggest reason for keeping the price down.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
But it just also could be, what is this thing doing here?
It's a small group of people that want that look still, but it's a lot of cars.
Well, I do need to get in touch with the Bentley Club of Oklahoma and
find out
check.
What's the deal.
Is there one?
You could be the guy. You might be the only one. Join my Bentley Club, Rolls Royce guy that spent $2,200.
It was $27,500.
Yeah, okay, fine.
With premium.
I have driven a similar car. I think it was a '59 Rolls right-hand drive, and it was on the freeway. The car drove really nice, but it's such a big boat, and when you're sitting on the right-hand side of the car, it's not your usual side. The person who was following me said, "You were on the line the whole time on the inside." It looked like I was right on that outside white line, but apparently not with this giant car and a whole different perspective on you driving on the right side.
Wow. Well, a deal.
Yeah, so still some deals out there from the 50s.
Absolutely. I got another one for you.
Okay.
1960 Chevrolet Corvair sedan.
Yeah.
Lot S64 sold for $93.50. $9,350. 140 cubic inch 4-cylinder automatic, 7,300 miles. It's got the T3 headlights. It looks stock overall, and it's in very good shape. I think this is a good example, and it's good proof that you don't need to spend a lot of money to get a nice classic car that you are not afraid to take places.
No, that was super clean.
I mean, aside from the fact that it's a Corvair, but we'll get to that in a second. In this case, I think this is a rare case where the four-door sedan is a better looking car than the coupe counterpart.
Yes.
I like the flat top on these.
Yep.
And honestly, I mean, you could buy something like this, you're not going to lose money on it. I think unsafe at any speed can apply to any car made pre-1965, honestly. So don't blame Corvair for that. Just make sure you air up your tires appropriately. I think it's a 8 to 10 PSI differential between the front and the rear. You have to have more in the rear so it doesn't trip over itself when that swing arm comes down. But again, I mean, it's a clean example of a car that I think would be welcome at just about any kind of car event that you want to take it to. And it's not going to overheat.
Local, regional level stuff? Yeah, they'd love to have you.
Perfect. And for $93.50, I mean, that's a hell of a buy, I think.
Resale red looks good on that car, too.
Yeah.
That's one of the cars that it's a resale red's not a bad thing.
No, to me, it doesn't look like it was repainted red. I think it was always red.
It works, whatever.
Yeah.
So just touching on the market for Corvairs here, there were 3 of them at the sale. 3 different body types. Not the pickup, which is one we love, but this was the sedan we're talking about. There was a 1964 Monza Club Coupe with the larger 164 cubic inch engine, also with an automatic, and then a 1965 Corsa convertible. Mm-hmm. So that had the turbocharged 161 with a 4-speed. So, and in order of me listing them, that was the order of price, like increasing. Uh-huh. So $93.50 for the sedan, $13,200 for the coupe, and then $19,800 for the turbocharged convertible.
Right.
I think that's a pretty good spread and look at that Corvair market.
Absolutely. That's right on the mark, right on the money with where you would expect it to be.
And that's where you're going to find those ones, and where you're going to find those ones, and where you're going to find those ones. Mm-hmm. That's a good little glimpse.
And what's funny is it hasn't really changed.
Nope.
And I don't think it's going to, which is why I think this is a great buy.
I think the only thing that really has changed in the Corvair market is the pickups.
Yeah. The ramp sides.
The ramp sides. And those have gotten their own cult following. Mm-hmm. Hardcore. People love those things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the sedan, coupe, convertible, that hierarchy has been pretty well established.
They did a van too, didn't they?
Yeah. The Corvan.
The Corvan is what it's called.
That's what I call it.
We're calling it that.
Why not? Cool.
So that was Mecum in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah. Chad, do you want to take us out?
Nope, still no.
Every time.
No, that was so that's our review of Mecum in Tulsa, Oklahoma this time. Again, they're knocking it out of the park. Mecum's next sale is actually going to be in July. They're heading back to Kissimmee.
Oh, that's right.
So they're going to start doing the twice a year hit up thing. They have announced Florida Summer Special, July 9th through the 12th. They're going to be back in Kissimmee. and they are expecting 1,500 cars.
Yeah, they'll probably get it too. That's it for this edition of the Auto Shift. Thanks for watching.